Welcome to my Heart of Fear raid series. To start this series off, I'm gonna upload a VOD with some commentary to quickly give you a rough boss guide, while I'm working on finishing the detailed raid guides, but that's still in production. Let's take a look at the Blade Lord YAK fight. Starting off, let's look at the arena of the room. Throughout phase 1, which lasts until 20% HP on the boss, we're gonna keep the boss positioned at blue, then move him to green, then purple, then yellow. And the timings of this I'm going to explain during the VOD. The first mechanic we're watching out for is called Overwhelming Assault, and this is just your typical tank swap mechanic. What it does is that it deals a flat amount of damage and increases the damage taken by subsequent overwhelming assaults. So you should swap around 2 stacks to keep it easy to manage. The next mechanic we're covering is called Tempest Slash, and when this is used, Blade Lord YAK sends out a tornado towards one random target. The tornado is going to stay in the location of the targeted player for the remainder of phase 1. To avoid overcrowding the room with tornadoes, you should stand in a semicircle with your back against the wall around the boss's respective position. That's going to leave the middle of the room clear for the next mechanic that we're going to cover, called Unseen Strike. When this mechanic is used, it's going to mark a random player and the boss is going to go invisible for a few seconds. Everybody in the raid should stack up on the marked player, since the boss is about to smack them for 4 million damage, which can be split among all allies in close proximity. It's also going to knock you back, so you want to keep your back towards the middle of the room with the stacking player so you don't get knocked into any tornadoes. This is an excellent time to use any raid cooldowns so that you survive the heavy hit, otherwise everybody needs to be topped up. Once you get knocked back, you simply run back to the boss and keep blasting him until the next mechanic that we're gonna cover. The next mechanic is called Blade Tempest, in which he sucks in the entire raid underneath him and then starts channeling a whirlwind effect, pulling you closer if you're not on top of him. When this happens, you should pop movement speed abilities and run away as quick as you can. Stampeding Roar or Demonic Gateway are great options for this. Once the cast is done, you should move to the next position in the boss sequence, so you should move from blue to green, or green to purple, or purple to yellow. This means that you're going to have a total of approximately 4 Blade Tempests during phase 1, but it could be slightly different depending on your group's output. The final 2 mechanics of phase 1 are called Intensify and Wind Step. Wind Step is an ability where the boss teleports to a random player and applies a bleed to any target in a close proximity. You can bop and hand up Purity this to reduce the damage taken, but in general this is just something that you're gonna want to heal through. The biggest implication of this ability is that you should spread out as much as you can when you're standing against the wall baiting tornadoes. In 10-man, this is quite easy and it doesn't really add any complexity to the fight, you just need to be mindful of your spacing. Intensify is a soft and rage mechanic where the boss gains a stacking debuff occasionally, where every stack increases its damage dealt and haste by 5%. The important aspect of this mechanic is that you need to know that the damage ramps up the later you get into the fight, so you want to get it done as soon as possible. I'm just gonna let the rest of the VOD play out here, and I'll come back when we get to 20% going into phase 2. Alright, the boss is reaching 20%, so we're going into phase 2. At the start, he pulls everybody in and then shoots them to one side of the room. The goal here is to reach the boss on the opposite side of the room, and to make that harder, the boss is going to shoot tornadoes at you and slow you down. This is a great time to use Rocket Boot and other mobility spells. You should be aware that you're going to take a lot of damage during this portion of the fight, so make sure to cycle some defensives and try to stay away from the tornadoes. Once you reach the other side, you can stay there for a very long time, and the healers are easily able to keep the raid alive, which you're gonna see at the end of our fight. You're gonna stay here and keep hitting the boss until he reaches 10% HP, after which he's gonna run to the opposite side of the room and reverse the direction of the winds and tornadoes. When you're running to the boss the second time, your rocket boots will probably not be up, so make sure to have some sort of movement boosting ability, or at least defensives, to stay alive during the travel time, since the healers will struggle to keep you alive while running. When the boss leaves the platform, you can use the wind on the sides to catch a little bit of distance before you need to run over to the middle. But you should be aware that once he reaches the other side, he reverses the direction of the tornadoes, and it's really easy to get caught out of position. Once you get to the other side, it's simply a DPS race where you stack up, get some heals, and blast the boss until he's dead. At this point, your only concern is going to be the throughput that your group is going to be able to produce. But if you safely get to the other side, it should be easy enough for the healers to keep the group alive, despite the ramping damage buff on the boss. And that's gonna wrap up my Blade Lord YAK guide. Unfortunately, there's been a bit of production delay, so right now I'm just posting VODs with some commentary to get some basic guides out there. This is probably gonna be the case for Heart of Fear while we're progressing through it, but while I'm doing this, I'm still working on my detailed guides for Mogashan Vaults, and I'm sure I'll catch up soon. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel for future content. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.